The Dearborn Independent, Chronicle of the Neglected Truth, Volume 27, Number 19th, February 26, 1927. Our Illegal Spenders, Deficiency Appropriations Not Authorized by Law, by Marian Bruce Clark. Hundreds of millions of dollars are illegally expended by administrative officials who depend upon so-called deficiency appropriations to make it right. The abnormal increase in the annual federal budget may be traced to the generally accepted practice of expending public money first and collecting through Congress afterwards. The practice involves grave deception of the public because the total deficiency appropriations passed during the first session of the 69th Congress reached approximately $500 million. This is $500 million more than the public was originally led to expect that the government would cost. This system of deficiency appropriations tend to impair public respect and weaken control of the legislative branch of the government. The Constitution of the United States provides that the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law shall not be questioned. Yet, 3 deficiency bills representing not deficiency but expansion requirements and aggregating a huge sum of $487,851,377.41 were passed as riders to the regular act for 1927 to supply funds for activities admittedly not authorized by law. These demands emanated from virtually every department of the government, including the executive office, and furnished accurate evidence that such expenditures represent not legal continuation but illegal, in the sense of unauthorized expansion of the government activities. The Regular Appropriation Act for 1927 has been increased by 11% of the original request by the loose business methods of these aptly characterized illegal spenders, whose disregard of the ancient prerogative through official channels costs the government hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The Comptroller General, in attacking the present disbursing system, has recommended to Congress that disbursing officers be placed under the direct supervision of the General Accounting Office in his department, thus effectively removing them from the influence of the departmental heads. He points out that the centralized spending system would not only reduce the huge total of illegal payments, which under the present method are constantly being made by more than 1,000 disbursing officers through the United States, but would result in a large saving in salaries by reducing the number of these officials to about 50. More than $300 million in illegal payments is now outstanding in the General Accounting Office, for which in all probability the government will never be reimbursed, and $3 million in public funds has been illegally paid out during the past year. While some departments are more consistently offenders than others, it may be pointed out that the major delinquents continually head the list of the illegal spenders, year in and year out. For instance, at the first session of the 69th Congress, this occurred. The Veterans Bureau requested a deficiency appropriation of $116,250,000 in addition to its regular allowance of $579,215,000. The Post Office Department came next with a deficiency demand of $103,217,177, added to its original grant of $842,322,910. The Department of Agriculture asked and received $28,070,626 more than its legal allowance of $127,924,573. The Department of Interior, $7,601,000 supplemental to its legal appropriation of $226,332,918. The list might be indefinitely extended since virtually all departments have become addicts to the deficiency habit, not one of which can claim legal justification except perhaps the post office. The Comptroller General openly recommends that Congress refuse the numerous demands of the spending agencies, and the sole supervision of the expenditures of public money be placed under jurisdiction of his office as provided by law. In denouncing the deficiency appropriation habit, Senator Reed Smoot, chairman of the Finance Committee of the Senate, states, in relation to the growing evils of certain departments of our government, as well as certain states, of continually spending more money than allowed by law, thus creating a deficiency, it should never be allowed except in extreme emergencies. I have protested against it hundreds of times on the floor of the Senate, and while the budget has eliminated a great part of it, it still exists. While the regular Appropriation Act is heralded each year by front-page announcements in the press of the country, the strategy employed by those departments designed as illegal spenders provides for no headlines, no hearings, and none but perfectory debate during the last hours of the already overburdened Congress. It is thus that the public is kept in ignorance of the actual and true cost of government. The menace of this system is shown by the comparison of the federal budget for the years 1925, 1926, and 1927, which have more than doubled in the amount those of the 3 years preceding the war. The appropriation for the year 1927 amounted to $4,409,377,454, is a far greater sum than has been appropriated at any session of Congress since 1921. But in that year, the government was spending over $1 billion more than at present on an army and navy which had not been demobilized from war strength, and over $700 million more than at present on railroad administration. Leading all other departments, the Veterans Bureau furnished an example of this type of unlawful expenditures, through which the veterans are not in any respect benefited. In comparison of costs between the War Department and the Veteran Bureau for the single item of hospital construction shows that the latter department expends from 33 to 45% in excess for the same type of equipment of buildings, while other items of expenditures which contribute nothing whatsoever to the welfare of veterans present an array of facts which places this Bureau in the front line of the illegal spenders. Article 14 of the Constitution empowers Congress to pay only such public debts as are authorized by law. Since the only law authorizing expenditure of public funds is the Regular Appropriation Act, the present system of spending first and acquiring funds for payment later, as charged by the Comptroller General, does not afford protection to public money when exceptions to its operations are created by Congress, either before or after turning the money over to the spending agencies. A casual study of the extent to which discretionary power is Further, in the dispersal of lump sum appropriation illustrates to those methods through which hundreds of millions of taxpayers' money is expended annually. Unitemized appropriations for public buildings, sites, and construction stretching from Maine to California furnish interesting, if somewhat startling, reading. The Comptroller General of the United States is charged with making investigations for Congress as to revenue, appropriations, and expenditures, and is especially charged with reporting to Congress every expenditure of contract made by any department or establishment in any year in violation of the law. The fallacy, therefore, of the department head conducting their own negotiations and making their own requests directly with Congress must be apparent when the law places direct responsibility for both approval and legality upon a duty responsible official of the government. The increasing tendency of government departments to effect payments of public money not authorized by law is openly charged by Comptroller General McCarroll to be directly responsible for the loss of the government of over $300 million of public funds. He claims that after credit has been disallowed for illegal payments, department heads, through the medium of deficiency bills, rely upon Congress for settlement of their unlawful and unauthorized expenditures. The importance of such accusations from such an authoritative source cannot be overestimated.